Step 9. Those are. Step 9. Plural. Those are. Apples. Are those bananas? No, those are not bananas. No, those aren't bananas. What are those? Those are apples. Are those apples or are those bananas? Those are apples. Those aren't bananas. Boxes. Are those apples? No, those aren't apples. What are those? Those are boxes. Are those boxes or are those apples? Those are boxes. Those aren't apples. Cats. Are those boxes? No, those aren't boxes. What are those? Those are cats. Are those cats or are those boxes? Those are cats. Those aren't boxes. T-shirts. Are those cats? No, those aren't cats. What are those? Those are t-shirts. Are those t-shirts or are those cats? Those are t-shirts. Those aren't cats. Pencils. Are those t-shirts? No, those aren't t-shirts. What are those? Those are pencils. Are those pencils or are those t-shirts? Those are pencils. Those aren't t-shirts. Trees. Are those pencils? No, those aren't pencils. What are those? Those are trees. Are those trees or are those pencils? Those are trees. Those aren't pencils. Shoes. Are those trees? No, those aren't trees. What are those? Those are shoes. Are those shoes or are those trees? Those are shoes. Those aren't trees. Boys. Are those shoes? No, those aren't shoes. What are those? Those are boys. Are those boys or are those shoes? Those are boys. Those aren't shoes. A boy and a girl. Are those boys? No, those aren't boys. What are those? Those are a boy and a girl. Are those a boy and a girl or are those boys? Those are a boy and a girl. Those aren't boys. Girls. Are those a boy and a girl? No, those aren't a boy and a girl. What are those? Those are girls. Are those girls or are those a boy and a girl? Those are girls. Those aren't a boy and a girl. Watches. Are those girls? No, those aren't girls. What are those? Those are watches. Are those watches or are those girls? Those are watches. Those aren't girls. The Simpsons. Are those watches? No, those aren't watches. Who are those? Those are the Simpsons. Are those the Simpsons or are those watches? Those are the Simpsons. Those aren't watches. Superman and Lois Lane. Are those Aladdin and Jasmine? No, those aren't Aladdin and Jasmine. Who are those? Those are Superman and Lois Lane. Are those Superman and Lois Lane or are those Aladdin and Jasmine? Those are Superman and Lois Lane. Those aren't Aladdin and Jasmine. Tom and Jerry. Are those Superman and Lois Lane? No, those aren't Superman and Lois Lane. Who are those? Those are Tom and Jerry. Are those Tom and Jerry or are those Superman and Lois Lane? Those are Tom and Jerry. Those aren't Superman and Lois Lane. The Flintstones. Are those Tom and Jerry? No, those aren't Tom and Jerry. Who are those? Those are the Flintstones. Are those the Flintstones or are those Tom and Jerry? Those are the Flintstones. Those aren't Tom and Jerry. The Minions. Are those the Flintstones? No, those aren't the Flintstones. Who are those? Those are the Minions. Are those the Minions or are those the Flintstones? Those are the Minions. Those aren't the Flintstones. Mickey and Minnie. Are those the Minions? No, those aren't the Minions. Who are those? Those are Mickey and Minnie. Are those Mickey and Minnie or are those the Minions? Those are Mickey and Minnie. Those aren't the Minions.